1 hour of women realizing feminism is a scam.
Here's how feminism messed up the US economy and how it's actually now come back to bite modern women in the butt. Let's rewind. The modern feminist movement kicked off in the 1960s. The goal was fair wages, equal opportunities, and legal protections. Great, right? They told us that the first wave gave us the right to vote, and the second wave brought us into the workforce. Here's where it gets a little bit sticky. During the second wave, the message shifted. It wasn't just, you can work outside the home. It became, you should. Or you must if you want to be respected. Doing nothing but staying home and cooking and cleaning and raising children, that was suddenly less than. So women flooded the workforce around this time. They were told they would get more financial freedom, more independence, and of course, more respect. But when millions of women started working full-time, it didn't just change individual families, it changed the entire economy. Suddenly, 2 incomes weren't just nice, they were expected, and that's where we get into the 2-income trap. This is a book written by Elizabeth Warren, who is not exactly a conservative voice, but she actually articulates this situation beautifully in her book, The 2-Income Trap. She argues that when both parents started working, the cost of living adjusted. Homes in good school districts, prices went up. Childcare, through the roof. Everything from health insurance to groceries inflated to match dual income spending power. So now we've created this world where it takes 2 full-time incomes to just be able to afford the same lifestyle 1 income covered in 1960. Feminism told women and even sold them the idea that they were breaking free. But for a lot of women, especially moms, it feels more like a trap. Because now the choice to stay home with your kids isn't even on the table for many families. So many women would love to be able to be homemakers and clean the house and cook and take care of their kids, and they can't. Because what used to be a respected and even honored role of homemaker, caregiver, mother got dismissed. Feminism lied to us and told us that success only looked like climbing the corporate ladder and competing with men. But we traded in something priceless: time with our children, peace in our own homes, and even financial flexibility. So while women were told you should do it all, what we ended up with is exhaustion, rising debt, and a system that only works if you're always working outside your house. The very movement that claimed to be liberating women made it nearly impossible to live on 1 income. And I'm sorry, but that is not empowering. Turns out that there's a real price to pay when a society stops valuing motherhood. When caregiving is treated as invisible labor and homemakers are seen as less than, everybody actually loses, especially women. Not just emotionally or in the family structure, we could talk about that forever, but economically as well. So no, I'm sorry, feminism didn't save women. It told us we need to do it all, and now our generation is paying the price for it.
Modern feminism claims domestic labor is oppressive, conveniently ignoring that machines now handle 90% of the work our grandmothers did by hand. It's funny how women traded the supposed burden of a dishwasher for the thrill of a 40-hour work week and a middle manager.
Isn't it so crazy that feminism does the exact opposite of empowering women? It is not giving you freedom, it is actually silencing you. It has convinced women that sexualization is freedom, that selling their bodies online is freedom, that having multiple partners is freedom. But what this actually does is exploit you and enslave you. It's funny how feminism actually just gave the worst type of men exactly what they wanted. I mean, having as much emotionless sex as possible, OnlyFans, running around half naked, killing their babies, men and women's sports. How does that equal female empowerment? Not to mention you're warding off all of the good men. I mean, you guys say over and over how much you hate men when you are literally doing the things that please the worst type of men. If you were focused more on traditional femininity, on having one partner, on getting married, on having kids, on building a family unit, I promise you would attract really good men into your life, and therefore you wouldn't hate all men. And every time I say things like this, I get told that I'm tearing down other women. No, the reason that I post what I post is because I actually care about other women and their well-being. You can take it or leave it. But if I were to just let you exploit yourself and enslave yourself to what I would consider a cult, I mean, take Bonnie Blue, for example, that would be me not caring about you.
You know what sucks? Feeling like you'd been lied to your whole life. So I'm now 29, and up until probably last year, I went on the side of being feminist, thinking that a woman don't need no man. And what is it that everyone says now? Adding to the declining population. Even though my whole life I've always wanted to be a mother and have kids, but instead I was sold a lie, did what everyone else was doing, and I partied and I drank and I had casual sex. Now I'm 29 and I really thought when I was a kid, 4 years old, and you're like, when I grow up, I just wanted to be a mum. I'm not saying I can't still do that. I am going to. This whole feminist dream that we got sold, that you should just F around and find out, that you should just sleep around, that you should just party every night, have fun in your 20s, figure it out later. Well, now it's later and really wish I had kids by now. The whole time I wanted them, but it wasn't normal. It's not a normal thing to do. Well, I was told that if you wanted kids and to be a stay-at-home mum or a stay-at-home wife, that's not good enough. That's not progressive enough. You need to be a boss bitch. And I was, and I kind of still am. I've had multiple businesses. I always have enough money in the bank. I've flown business class multiple times to here, there, everywhere. Does any of that matter now? No. You know what makes you rich? Family. Kids. And I'm sure this happens to a lot of women my age who have gone down the same path of being a boss bitch, traveling everywhere, meeting all these people. That's all well and good. I had fun a lot of the time, but a lot of the time I didn't, because I felt like I was going against my natural way, why I'm actually here, and forcing myself to do things I didn't want to do because society told me that that was normal. Society has convinced us that it's normal for women to go out binge drinking and having casual sex rather than finding the one, waiting for them, getting married and having kids. We've been convinced that that's the wrong way.
It's truly inspiring to see women sacrifice their prime years just to prove they can be as exhausted as the men they claim to hate. They swap the shackles of a family dinner for the ultimate freedom, answering emails at 9 p.m. for a CEO who doesn't even know their name.
Hello, my name is Joy, and I woke up choosing violence this morning because I would like to debunk and explain why feminism is a crock of shit. I can already see the comments of me getting called a pick-me girl for this, so let's just get into it. Number 1, hookup culture getting disguised as empowerment. The sexual liberation of random hookup culture completely goes against female biology because of how we emotionally bond through oxytocin. Hooking up with random people is not empowerment. It's disgusting. And the fact that feminism tells women that they will be liberated after that is an absolute lie. You're not going to feel liberated. You're going to feel like a slut. And that just leads to the spiral culture of I need more, I need to feel sexy, I don't feel wanted or desired, so I'm gonna go get it because I can, because I'm a boss-ass bitch. It's a lie. It's a complete, utter lie. Number 2, putting career over having a family. The narrative that traditional roles are oppressive, like, show me where they're oppressive. Other than maybe the Amish and the people in Utah. What are they called again? Mormons, that's what it is. You can climb the corporate ladder all you want. But true long-term satisfaction in your life comes from strong relationships where people actually care and love you for who you are, having a sense of community, and raising a family. This pressure that women have to have it all and be that boss woman in the corporate world, it leaves them burned out, okay? Those are the chicks that are walking around 45 that are fat and overweight with their hormones out of whack that look like they are just stressed beyond belief because they've been chasing a lie someone told them would make them feel fulfilled, and it just doesn't. Number 3, feminism frames men as opponents, not partners. There are 100% bad dudes out there. I mean, like really bad dudes that exert their power and force to get what they want. They're tyrannous. Yes, absolutely. Those guys do exist. But attacking men in general, telling them that their masculinity is inherently toxic, is the most messed up thing on the planet. Men and women are different. Our bodies are different. Our hormones are different. Our brains are different. We are just different. We can be equal, but we can acknowledge our differences and understand that the yin and yang between the sexes is not the problem. It's a good thing. Lord knows we do not need more feminine men. We need more true, strong, masculine, healthy men in society. We could fix a lot of things if that happened. And that ideology that we're in competition with men and not that we complement each other will make your relationships suffer. Feminist women that try to get in relationships with men and have that ideology programmed in their mind carry it into that relationship, and it screws things up. And number 4, last but not least, the promise of total independence. Telling women that they need total independence to feel happiness is just going to lead to pure isolation. And listen, I'm a strong, independent woman, okay? I love just being able to do things on my own and figure it out and problem solve and all those things. But I still ask for help. A lot. Because I need it and I acknowledge it. And I go to my community and I go to other people and males in my life that I'm like, hey, can you help me with this? That does not make me weak. That does not make me less because I ask for help, because I understand that I need it. What's being marketed as freedom to women is just complete disconnection. And I think it's honestly really heartbreaking that so many women are falling for this narrative as if this is the answer that they need or that's going to make them happy. You can be a strong, independent woman without falling for this narrative feministic bullshit. And if you've been really hurt by a guy before, honey, I get it. I understand how this is so attractive, this ideology that this is going to be what frees you and you don't need a guy because screw him. I get it. Trust me. But just because you dated a jerk does not mean you need to go on the rest of your life living through an ideology that will inherently hurt you in the long term. There are good men out there. I promise you. That's all I got to say about that. I was kind of feeling feisty this morning, so yeah.
Ladies, listen up. Feminism is not about equality anymore. It's about tearing down men and stripping women of their true power. The original idea of feminism was about giving women equal rights, the ability to vote, work, and have a voice. But somewhere along the way, it turned toxic. Modern feminism today tells women to hate men, reject families, and act like the very thing they claim to be fighting against. And here's the truth. Feminism didn't make women stronger. It made them miserable. It convinced women that being feminine is weak, that being nurturing, loving, and wanting a husband and kids somehow makes you less. That is not strength. That is pure confusion. Femininity is powerful. A feminine woman knows how to elevate her man, create peace in her home, and stand firm in her values without trying to be a man. Feminism breeds resentment. Femininity creates harmony, and that's the difference that nobody wants to admit. Ladies, you do not gain power by competing with the guys. You gain power by being fully feminine and letting men lead where they are meant to lead. Feminism destroyed that truth. Femininity restores it. And if that offends you, maybe that's the wake-up call that you need.
Excuse me if I don't make any sense for a moment. I'm trying to get into the mind of a feminist, okay? So they want equal rights, right? So whatever that means to them, probably abortion, right? Bodily autonomy. But that doesn't mean equal rights for men, because men still have to sign up for the draft, get circumcised without their bodily autonomy permission. They don't get to hit a woman back if the bitch slaps him. And they have to work in society. For society to work, men have to work, not women. So how in the world does feminism still make sense to this day? Once women achieved the right to vote and have their own bank account, I think that's where it could have fucking stopped. Because what the fuck are you even fighting for anymore? Because it's not equality, it's superiority, it's narcissism, it's vanity, it's nonsense is what it is, it's nonsense.
Trad wives and feminism, there's a lot of discourse online. I want to say, do you think it's more dangerous to push being a stay-at-home mom/wife, or you think it's more dangerous to push S-work, Bop House, OnlyFans as women empowerment? Because I would argue that the latter is more dangerous. But I also think that when feminism came about and we are fighting for women's rights, we are fighting for the right to vote, the right to choose, right? The right to get paid the same as a man, the right to divorce if your husband's abusive, all those things. I believe those and I support those rights. But villainizing a woman because of how she chooses to use her rights is insane to me. If somebody wants to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home wife, that's what fulfills them, that's what makes them happy, who cares? And it's very pessimistic to go on their page and say, you shouldn't do that, he's going to leave you for someone younger, he's going to cheat on you anyways, he's going to do this, whatever, you're pick me. Or that's just what they want. That's what makes them happy. Now, do I believe you should have an identity outside of that? Yes, because I believe if your identity is just I am a wife or I am a mother, when you're having rocky times, it's going to affect your mental health more than if you have your own identity outside of all of that. But also when you get married, it's not all about you. It's not all about I want a career, so I want to do this, so I'm not doing anything, and it's all my husband. That's not how it works. It's a partnership. It's a covenant. You do things for each other. And when you love someone, you want to do things for your partner. If somebody wants to climb the corporate ladder and they want to hire a nanny, okay. If that's what they want to do, this is what women fought for. They fought for the right to choose. Villainizing somebody for what they choose is crazy. Now, are there bad things? I believe yes. I believe glorifying S-work, glorifying doing OnlyFans, all that stuff. I do think that is detrimental. I do think that is not okay. I think it's dangerous, especially for young women to see that and want to do that and have it glorified. Just because there are a lot of negative things in that space of work. It's not healthy mentally for the woman, no matter what anyone says. I don't believe it is.
And I will never believe that it is healthy and that there are no negative side effects of doing it. There definitely are. And it can be dangerous. There's so many different things. Being a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home wife, if that's what you want to do, then good. Do that. And enjoy it. Make sure you do things that keep your identity outside of just being a wife or a mother. But if that's what you love and that's what fulfills you, then do that. And hopefully you married a spouse who supports that and who loves you. And hopefully you guys have a strong foundation on love and trust and God. Because if you have a strong foundation, your marriage is bound to last. Not all marriages end in divorce. Yes, there are statistics that divorce is definitely a lot higher now. I think that has a lot to do with this grass is greener on the other side, right? Especially with social media. Everyone seems to think the grass is greener. We just saw a woman say that she asked for a divorce from her husband. Why? Well, he's perfect, technically. On paper, he's a great husband, great man, but she just feels like there could be more. You know, she doesn't know who she is. That is a personal thing. That is completely personal. That to me is not a reason to get divorced, but to each their own. But what we fought for is just the right for women to choose what they want to do. Villainizing one way or the other is crazy. Of course, you're going to have people that come on here and they're extreme on the conservative side and they're extreme on the other side, like taking away women's rights to vote. They shouldn't vote against their husband. I'm just a secondary vote to my husband. I don't support that, right? I don't support taking away rights that we got given. Pushing doing S work because it's empowerment. I don't support that. But what I do support is that as women, we now have choices. We can make those choices and we have to live with those choices. And that's just that. But this whole discourse, I think, it's stupid. I don't think it makes any sense. And I just think a lot of it comes from deflecting and also just projecting. Yeah, I think that's a better word for it, projecting. I think a lot of it is projection of maybe they saw this not work out, maybe this is how they feel, so they're projecting that onto people online in these parasocial relationships, kind of thing. But that's how I feel about it.
It is not quirky or funny to publicly admit that your emergency contact is your boyfriend or husband who is deeply incompetent and irresponsible. It is wildly concerning to me to see all of the women that are under this sound that are saying, ladies and gentlemen, my emergency contact, and he is doing the most outlandish type of behavior.
Your back's gotta be pretty sore from doing all that reaching. Like, there's no way you didn't grow 3 inches. It has got to be very exhausting trying to turn every single moment into a think piece on hating men. This is a very harmless trend, women posting their partners doing something goofy and captioning it my emergency contact. That's literally the joke. But you've somehow managed to try and turn it into some kind of deep commentary about incompetence and irresponsibility based off of a 5-second clip. You deduced that about someone from a 5-second clip. Be so for real. God forbid women actually feel safe and secure in their relationships. God forbid they actually have a dynamic where they can joke around with their partner. But no, you had to make it about how awful men are because he tripped over his own feet in a TikTok. If you are mad that you can't participate in the trend, then just say that.
You want to know something that most women aren't ready to hear? Modern feminism killed chivalry. Modern feminism has shifted from seeking equality to promoting superiority and resentment towards men, framing men as oppressors rather than partners and equals. With the birth of modern feminism, there came the birth of the girl boss, I don't need a man. Chivalry was never meant to make women look weak. It was made to create a culture of mutual respect where men acted honorably towards women and acknowledged their virtue and grace. Modern feminism, by demanding sameness instead of equality, has blurred those lines. In trying to erase gender differences, it's erased the gestures that celebrate them. The result of this is now we have an entire generation of men who are not willing to honor, pursue, or protect women. We have this entire generation of men who just want to hook up on the first date, who have no respect for women, who don't hold open the door, who don't buy flowers, and it is because of modern feminism. Not only that, but it is also a result of weak men. There's a reason that our grandparents have the cutest love stories where the men pursued the women and they didn't have sex until they were married and they respected and honored each other. And now we are seeing the result. of the crash and burn of modern feminism, and unfortunately it is affecting a lot of women looking for life partners and a lot of men looking for life partners. Feminism is great. The idea of feminism is great to promote equality, but it has evolved into something that is toxic and dangerous to our society.
Feminism sold us the biggest scam of our generation. They told us we were empowered, but what did we actually get? Burnout, debt, stress, a double life where we work like men and still carry the entire home on our backs. And here's the truth nobody's talking about. Feminism didn't set women free. It trapped us in a masculine system that we were never designed for. They told us to compete with men, to lead like men, to talk, think, act like men, and now we're exhausted, we're disconnected, resentful, and wondering why nothing feels right. We don't need more feminism. We need to reclaim the femininity that was stolen from us, because that's where a woman's real power has always been. In softness, in harmony, emotional intelligence, intuition, influence, not in becoming a copy of the men we were created to complement.
Want to know something wild? Women traded family for a 9-to-5 and then they called it liberation. Just think about it for a second. Our grandmothers prayed for husbands so that they could work hard, raise kids, and build a strong home. That was the dream. Security, love, and purpose. Then feminism came along, told women that being a wife and being a mother is oppressive. So what did we do? We left the home to work for men that don't love us at companies that will replace us the second we get burnt out. That's not freedom, that is slavery in heels. Feminism convinced women that family is a cage and working for a corporate job is empowerment. Tell me this, why do so many women hit 30, are alone, exhausted, and wondering why they feel so empty? It's because you can't outsmart God's design. No promotion will ever replace a husband that loves you and children who adore you. So no, I'm not anti-woman, I'm pro-woman, and pro-woman enough to tell you the truth. Real freedom isn't in a cubicle or a nurse's station, it's in building a legacy. So go forth and multiply.
Y'all, I'm here to tell you 5 lies that modern feminism is telling you, and y'all are believing it. I don't think y'all are ready for this, jelly. Maybe you are. I don't know. Listen up. Lie number 1. I don't need a man. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I do. You do. Men need women too. Lie number 2. I love this one. Masculinity is toxic. No. There's toxic people. Masculinity, true masculinity, is strong and necessary. Culture is constantly emasculating men, and then we're wondering, like, where did all the strong leaders go? Lie number 3. Sexual freedom is empowerment. No, you're just a hoe. You can tell yourself all the lies and feed yourself all the BS you want. You're a hoe. It's literally self-destruction slapped with some lip gloss. Last I checked, our bodies are not a buffet for hungry, confused men, okay? Oh, here's a good one. If he can't handle me at my worst, he doesn't deserve me at my best. And what that garbage translates to is, I refuse to grow. I refuse to take responsibility and accountability. And last but not least, feminism gives you freedom. Freedom from what? Burnout? Working 60 hours a week, paying all your bills on your own? Possibly raising kids all on your own? That's not freedom. That's a scam with some good PR.
I'm not gonna lie, don't tell the feminists, but I would rather stay home and cook and clean. I would rather do it. When I tell you I love to cook and clean, just don't tell the feminists. I love to do it, and I love to do it for a man. I do. However, not outside of marriage. Absolutely not. That sounds like hell. But just to see the look on a man's face when you cook him a meal that is so good, you could just tell he's proud. There's just something, I don't know, there's something within me as a woman. Maybe it's almost turning 25 that got me thinking, like, this cooking and cleaning thing isn't bad. Like, I just don't understand why women wanted to work. What was the point? Like, there is nothing satisfying about working. A man that takes care of you, a man that provides for you, you don't have to worry about anything, no bills. I will cook and clean all day. Like, what is the complaint? I'm making some fire food tonight.
I'm going to serve it, and I'm just enjoying it. Yes, I'm crying over some onions, but is this what we fought for as women? I don't know. I'd rather cry over some onions than cry about a job, that's for sure.
I'm constantly amazed how many women think feminism is a good thing. Women have been so lied to. Feminism was created to separate families. We valued our sense of independence so much that it took away our strong sense of family unit. Kids are being raised by government childcare. Women are working just as many hours as the men are, but are still expected to go home and take care of their children. It's a 24/7 job to be a woman living in America. This isn't the American dream. The American dream is living off of one income, the man provides, and we depend on them. The American dream would be women taking care of themselves, the home, their children, their husband. Women are meant to be gardening, cooking good food, nurturing the ones that they love. That's when women get a strong sense of self, and when they're in their true feminine energy, that's when they thrive. You cannot convince me that women were meant to work a 9-to-5 job just like a man is. You see other women being taken care of. Maybe they're cooking, they're taking care of the children, and they're being there present. And you think, wow, I would love that. When a woman is in her soft feminine era, she thrives. And that's what any woman wants. Society has brainwashed us to think independence is a good thing, when in reality, it just breaks families apart. Now, don't get me wrong, I think feminism can be a good thing, but I just feel like it shouldn't have come at the cost of losing the family unit. Nobody has a strong sense of family, and why is that? I would strongly suggest that feminism, independence, been girl bossing a little too hard, took away the strong urgency of having a family.
This might piss some people off, but I just want to take a moment and say, thank goodness that so many of us are waking up to the fact that modern day feminism is a literal scam meant to disconnect and separate and isolate women from one another. And not only from one another, but from the natural ways of living. Like, this shit literally goes against nature. Modern day feminism says that women should be out in the workforce working 40+ hour weeks while their children stay at home with a caretaker, that they immediately get put in the school system from age 5 and stay until they're 18, if not older if they go to college. And that while women have 4 phases of their cycle that give them extremely different hormone levels and energy levels, that they should be doing the exact same routine every day, every week, and every month. I'm sorry, but fuck that. Like, I am down for the boss babe shit. I am building 2 businesses right now. I think women should be running their own empires if that's what they want. But it can be done the feminine way. Women are meant to be provided for so they can stay home and take care of their children and be the actual parent to their child. They're supposed to rest during their moon cycle. They're supposed to frolic around naked and connect to their bodies and connect to the earth and be the caretaker. They're not meant to be in hustle all the time. They're not meant to be in doing mode all the time. We're meant to be. And we're meant to be in community surrounded by other women, letting them support our children as well. Being in community vibes is essential. And what does modern day feminism do? Separates us from that as well, turns women against each other as competitors instead of allies, and makes us work until we're too tired to function, amongst so many other tragic things. So if you're still stuck in that modern day feminism trap, let me just tell you that you deserve to be rich, you deserve to be your own boss, you deserve to do all of the things a man does too, but there is a unique way that you're meant to do it that is separate on a physiological and biological level from how a man is supposed to do it. And learning to embrace that is learning to embrace your true nature.
They told us feminism would set us free, but here's the truth nobody wants to admit. It's the biggest scam ever sold to women. Feminism promised empowerment, but what did it really deliver? Broken families, exhausted women, a culture that mocks motherhood, despises homemaking, and tells little girls their worth is found in acting like men. Instead of freedom, it gave us burnout. Instead of joy, it gave us loneliness. Instead of peace, it gave us endless chase for success that leaves us empty. They told us marriage was slavery, children were a burden, and being a wife was oppression. But the reality? The women who bought into those lies are more miserable than ever, chained to careers, drowning in debt, and searching for meaning. True strength isn't found in rejecting femininity. It's found in embracing it, in raising children, in building homes, and walking boldly in God's design. Feminism lied. God's way never fails. Save this for later and follow if you're ready to hear the truth they don't want you to know.
I wish I could be this level of delusional. I really wish. What really sucks is the feminist movement is not only taking over women, but it's taking over the facts of biology. If there was a war between men and women, just alone on brute force, men would win every single day of the week. Men are just overwhelmingly stronger. Those are the facts. I don't make the rules. The only way that women are even useful in the military right now is because of intelligence positions as well as advanced technology. I strongly believe that men and women are equal in value. They are not equal in their strength. Why do you think everyone is freaking out about biological men invading female sports? It's because men are going to win every single day of the week. It's impossible for a woman to even pretend to match the strength of a man, ever. Why do you think you yourselves, women who blame men for absolutely everything and think that you can't walk the streets at night alone for fear you're going to be attacked by a man? You'll feel that way because even you know deep down that men are always going to be stronger than you. But I'm not telling you this to knock you down. I'm telling this to knock you out of the delusional state that you need to pit men and women against each other.
I think it's hilarious when modern feminists say, we don't need men. Like, girl, do you not understand that this entire society is built by men? But I get it. We've been programmed to think that needing men makes us weak. But the reality is that our entire comfortable existence depends on what men do every single day. Like, what are we not understanding here? But it's okay. I got you. Let me give you some facts that might make you uncomfortable, but you need to hear this because it's getting a little ridiculous how ungrateful and dismissive women have become. Over 80% of military personnel are men. They're literally protecting our freedom and safety while we sleep so you can walk outside without fear. Over 90% of firefighters are men. They're running into burning buildings to save your life when your house catches fire or when you're in a car accident. Over 90% of construction workers are men. They're building the house you live in, the roads you drive on, the mall you shop at, the gym you work out in. Over 95% of oil rig workers are men. They're getting the energy you need to charge your phone so you can watch your TikToks, the electricity for your Netflix shows, the power to do your hair and makeup. Over 80% of engineers are men. They're designing the apps on your phone, the car you drive, the plumbing in your bathroom, the air conditioning that keeps you comfortable. Over 90% of truck drivers are men. They're delivering the food you eat, the clothes you wear, the makeup you buy, everything from Amazon that shows up at your front door. Over 95% of coal miners are men. They're extracting the coal that powers your electricity for your lights, your TV, your hair straightener, your coffee maker. And over 80% of surgeons are men. They're the ones saving your life when you need emergency surgery, fixing your body when something goes wrong, and enhancing your appearance with cosmetic procedures. Society has taught us that acknowledging this makes us anti-feminist, but it's just reality. We can appreciate what men contribute without diminishing what women contribute. The vast majority of what men do in these dangerous, difficult jobs is to keep society functioning so that we can be safe and comfortable. And instead of being grateful for this, we've been conditioned to be resentful, entitled, and dismissive of their contributions, and I'm tired of it. We've been programmed to think that independence means we don't need anyone, but that's not how society works. We're all interdependent. We all need each other. It's not about being helpless or weak. It's about recognizing that we all have different roles and contributions that make society function. What we don't realize is that men have their strengths and weaknesses, and we women have our strengths and weaknesses too. There are certain things that men can do better than women, and vice versa. There are things that we're going to do better than men. Like, why are we fighting so hard to be like men or think we don't need men when the reality is, us women, we're designed to do things that men can't do. We're literally fighting our natural instincts and then acting surprised when it doesn't fulfill us. We need that balance and polarity to survive and keep society functioning. It's not about one gender being better than the other. It's about recognizing that we complement each other. You can be a strong, independent woman all you want and still appreciate what men contribute to society. These aren't mutually exclusive. Stop letting modern culture make you ungrateful for the people who literally keep our world running. Appreciation isn't weakness, it's wisdom.
Here's a fun feminist fact that is really inconvenient for the radical feminist narrative. Simone de Beauvoir said, "No woman should be authorized to stay home and raise her children. Women should not even have that choice, because if there is a choice, too many women will make that one." So she's literally saying we should not even give women the choice to stay home because we want them in the workforce. And tell me who's pro-woman again?
Does anyone else feel like pretty girls run feminism nowadays? Supposedly feminism is about rejecting Eurocentric standardized beauty. And yet, with liberal feminism, there's this embrace of pretty girls can also be feminist, and, very feminine presenting women can also be feminist. But instead of it, what I initially presume it was, an admittance that you don't have to present masculine to be a feminist, now there's this sidelining of any woman who's not hyper feminine in favor of standardly pretty women. And it's almost a faux pas not to dress up like Barbie nowadays. I mean, I can't be the only one thinking this, right? I first recognized this movement in 2020 when I watched The Queen's Gambit. I think it's far from a feminist masterpiece. It's mildly enjoyable. But I noticed that so much of the feminist press around it was not, oh, she's a woman who plays chess, and she is on par with her male opponents. Instead, it was, Anya Taylor-Joy is unapologetically feminine and pretty, and she likes these dresses, and she's feminine. And again, at first, I actually kind of agreed. I thought, yeah, it's kind of interesting now we have this representation of an intellectual, intelligent woman who's obviously very self-actualized, who partakes in stereotypically feminine activities and dresses up and is not afraid to be pretty, I suppose. But now, it's become the blueprint of the ideal feminist. Like, it's not just, oh, I'm a feminist, and that's all I have to be. Now it's, I'm a feminist and I'm beautiful, and I'm smart and I'm beautiful. And again, I think that Beth Harmon's character in The Queen's Gambit was supposed to subvert the idea that smart girls are ugly or unappealing to men, which in and of itself is very sexist. But statistically speaking, more women are going to be not like Anya Taylor-Joy than like Anya Taylor-Joy. So who is it really representing? And what's wrong with a woman not being standardly Eurocentrically beautiful anyway? Why do we need to prove that you can be pretty and also be intellectual and also be feminist? Why is there this need to do everything? I know that people have criticized this expectation that women be everything. What about the expectation that women be feminist, intellectual, but also stunningly hot and beautiful and dressing up like a bimbo? Can this unrealistic standard of women just stop, and let's not impose the male gaze upon ourselves, please?
Feminism is a complete joke nowadays. Like, how is it empowering or girl power to have full cleavage hanging out, or allowing men to see seductive photos of you in indecent clothing, or lack of clothes, I should say, thus permitting them to use you as an object for their sexual gratification? It saddens me that so many women are being brainwashed by today's society and view on women empowerment. True femininity is finding your completion in God and honoring your own body by dressing in a way that demands respect.
Feminism was one of the worst things that ever happened to women in society in America. Before feminism was coverture, and coverture actually protected women. Coverture was an oppression, it was an obligation that the men carried. Men carried all of the economic and legal liabilities of the household. Coverture actually protected women from harsh punishments like debt, imprisonment, and lawsuits, because it was legally falling on the husband. Women, though, maintained their power through alternative legal channels, like trusts, dowries, and estate settlements. And coverture only applied to married women, so if you were not married as a woman, these did not apply to you. It functioned because it had families be economic units and not just a relationship of roommates. A lot of misconceptions were that women are treated like property, and that is actually false. Women had inheritance rights, dower rights, and couldn't be sold or transferred, and they could also sue. And last I checked, property couldn't sue. Just one more thing, coverture didn't exist because men hated women. It existed because economies were household-based, not individual-based. So it was really about structure, not spite and competition.
How have people still not realize that feminism is a sham? It's a scam. I'm telling you, it is a robbery. It's robbery of womanhood. Because my thing is like, everything they push for is opposite of what actually truly makes women happy and fulfilled. And I'm just like, how are people not seeing that? It's sad because people don't realize it until later on in their 40s, 50s, when they're single, they have no children, no family, and they were taught and pushed that in their 20s, they should be going out, they should be meeting as many partners as they can, experiencing life, enjoying and doing all of that. But then it's like, it becomes harder to have children. It becomes harder to settle down and get married. I'm not saying that it's impossible and no one can't, but it's true, like in your 20s, it's easier to meet somebody and to start settling down and getting married. Like as you get older, those things get harder. But it's like we're pushed to pursue career and selfish desires in our 20s. And then as we get older and mature, it's like that's when we should start thinking about that.
Why would I be a feminist when I can just be feminine? Feminist ideology tries to convince women that relying on men is wrong. Bring down the patriarchy. And women actually benefit the most from this patriarchy. Let's let the men lead. Let's let the men go to war, do the tough jobs, work 80 hours a week, and let the ladies get her nails done, learn to cook, learn to sew. There's no pride in being Miss Independent. It's important for everyone, man and woman, to be able to be independent and take care of themselves, but you don't win a trophy because you didn't rely on a man. The feminist ideology is the opposite of femininity. The happiest women I know are in relationships with men. And the most bitter people I know are single girls who are feminists. Any ideology that breeds contempt for an entire race, aka the male race, is not beneficial for you. The feminist ideology tells women to take charge, which literally doesn't let men act as they should, being masculine and manly and leading. So I'm honestly not surprised that a lot of these feminists have had bad experience with men because they probably kneecapped every single thing that made that man masculine. So this is your sign to ditch the feminist movement and embrace femininity instead.
This is the truth, and it sucks because women have been victimized and weaponized to use against men in this day and age. It's to break up the nuclear family, to separate the men from the women. Honestly, in my opinion, women can't really make it alone. We need a strong man in our lives, you know? And, I mean, what's better than brainwashing our breeders? You know what I mean? Like, we make the world go round, but we need a strong man and a safe man in our lives. And they've done this on purpose. This is definitely attack on both men and women. So not all people think this, not all women think this. And as somebody that just got out of an abusive relationship, I still don't see men as the enemy. You know, just one man didn't ruin it for me. But like I said, I'm old as fuck and I'm a mom of 2 under 2, so but yeah, this
Feminism is the worst thing that ever happened to women. Our job used to be no job. We had it so good. And then all these women had to show off and be like, we could do it. We could do anything. Bitch, shut up. Don't tell them the secrets.
5 things I did as a feminist entering adulthood as now a non-feminist. 1, I constantly had a problem with authority in men in general. From a young age, I was constantly told that authority was given by men, whether that be in the form of a father, a god, a authority figure like the police. It was usually given by men, and I could see that. And instead of learning how to work within the constraints of that society and use it to my advantage in a healthy and good way, I instead wanted to burn the entire system down. I truly believe in this world, women are the antithesis of men, in that if a mass amount of men believe one thing or come to the conclusion about one thing, the girls and how they're raised are going to automatically become women that oppose or view that as wrong and that they could do it better. And that's obviously in large part due to our ego. And truly, the society that we have is led and styled and molded by so many women, but it is set up in a way that makes you just see the men as the oppressor. And it always goes back to blaming the men for damaging the woman in some way to make her act that way. Which brings me to number 2. As a woman, I was told all the time that I was the prize, and that no matter what I did, no matter how toxic it was, that I was the treasure that needed to be won, and it didn't matter what I did. This led me to make a lot of toxic decisions, and oftentimes my own mother would try to frame it in a way that even the most toxic behavior was only done because a man made me behave that way. I didn't want anybody to have any expectations of me, but I had a ton of expectations of everybody else. I wanted everybody to behave a certain way. I wanted everybody to follow a certain script that I had in my head. I wanted people to think the way I did, and I didn't understand why they couldn't, because obviously I could see things the right way. And honestly, I was defensive, I was very responsive, and I was very hate-filled and angry, but I thought everybody else were the hate-filled and angry ones. I thought I personally could do whatever I wanted, but I resented anybody else for doing what they wanted and thinking what they wanted to think, and I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? And I didn't understand why they couldn't just be the way I wanted them to be. 4, I stayed with men I didn't even really like to specifically, just so I could avoid going home and just so I could avoid sleeping around and being a hoe, but I could still pretend to be a traditional little good girl. It allowed me to constantly be working on myself while getting help with my bills and while avoiding going home and having the safety net of my parents in any way. This caused a ton of avoidable conflict, and I would say I didn't know what I was doing, but I honestly think the constant sadness and anxiety was the objective truth, striving to get out and show me that what I was doing was wrong, and I inherently knew it was wrong, but I continued to do it anyways to benefit myself. And I was just using the excuse that I was young and misguided and angry at the world to then blame others to do shitty things. 5, I got married as an atheist at 19 and immediately agreed to indiscretions the night of our marriage, and then used that as a way to open up the marriage and manipulate the situation to benefit myself yet again in life. And I was checked out. My dad asked if I could see myself spending forever with this dude, and I said for now, and I still married him anyway. And I thought I could get revenge on my ex-high school boyfriend. I thought I could still have a hoe mindset while playing traditional housewife, whatever. I was still working. I still made my own money and paid for my own shit, but it was still helpful. I still had help with my bills that he was obviously helping me with, and it made me look good. As soon as I did manipulate the situation enough to where he did open up the marriage, I immediately left him for being weak. And like, he was weak in a lot of ways and did a lot of shitty things too, but I saw that very early on, and I used it to benefit myself and manipulate the situation and use his shittiness and toxic behavior as a way to justify my own shitty toxic behavior. Toxic ass shit. And I was trying to fool myself into believing that just because he said something was okay, it was okay, even though I inherently knew that what I was doing was not okay. But because he said it was okay, I thought it was okay. Oh, and P.S., I did not take anything in that divorce, not one single penny. Anything that was bought within the year that we stayed married, I gave back to him. It took me realizing that I was the problem, and I couldn't blame a man for the things that I was doing. I have to be accountable for the power that I do have. And a lot of it is very underhanded power that prey on weak men and use them to my advantage, which inherently is not good for society. That breeds more toxic men and can be very disastrous in a lot of ways. All this to say, I was a fool in so many ways. I did a lot of shitty things, and it took me really self-evaluating to realize the mistakes that I was making so I didn't make them again. And it took a man to really set me into my place when I did get into a relationship with him and call me out on the bad toxic behavior when it happened. And now I am in a very successful, happy, healthy relationship that I couldn't ever dream of getting better, but somehow it still does every day. So, yeah.
If I'm married, right, which I am, I have a husband, right? Why would I want to just leave the house without him knowing? That doesn't make sense. I've never met a wife that prefers to be by herself. The wives I know, women that are around me, love being around their husband. They enjoy his company. I don't know what this like weird propaganda is, but like I have no desire to have money without my husband or to leave the house without him. Like I'd rather go out to eat with him than any of you guys. Like I don't even like hanging with friends. Like I prefer being with my husband. He's literally my best friend. So I don't understand what you're trying to tell me. Feminism didn't do anything for me at all. All it did was create beef with y'all because it didn't do anything for me. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. You guys think feminism gave you something, but we already have everything we need. Like, I don't need some man-made institution to tell me that I can do this or I can do that. I'm good. Like, I like having a husband. I like being around him. I like that. I love working with my husband. Any kind of work I do, it's contributing to his business, and I love that. Like, that's what I like to do. I'm not interested in like leading my own life. That's like, that is contradictory to the concept of marriage, right? Like, if you're in a marriage, you're supposed to contribute to each other. You're not supposed to lead your own life. Like, you have to stop listening to miserable women that tell you that feminism is good and you should have your own shit and you should live your own life and you should prepare for his ass to leave you and blah, blah, and all this miserable shit. Like, no, like, you're not saying anything. You wouldn't be able to leave the house. Where the fuck I'ma go? What is so urgent for me to have to go that would require my husband's absence? Like, I don't understand why, what that's doing for me. What's the point? What's the point? For a worst case scenario that's never gonna happen? Like, girl, shut up.
Okay. I'm going to say something. It's risky. Modern feminism is toxic. Let me repeat. Modern feminism is toxic. It is said that being overly independent is a defense mechanism for being constantly let down. And while for some women this is true, because I have been that woman, the ideology that a woman can do anything a man can do and do it as good as a man is not true. Women are capable of a lot of things, and I love that. I love a good, strong woman. I love being a strong woman. But there are things that my man can do that I cannot do, or I can do things, but he can do them better or more efficiently. And there are things that I can do that he cannot do or cannot do as efficiently. My personal belief is that men and women are equal because we can both bring strengths to the table that the other cannot. Therefore, we pair them together and are a strong unit. And that's what I love about my man, is he knows his strengths, I know mine, and we crush it together.
It's really controversial, but I think sometimes feminism
went in like a more toxic way, in a way that like feminism like means equal, right? Like equal rights, equal whatever thing. But sometimes because people like are trying to emphasize on the empowerment too much, I think a lot of the girls like are bashing down on guys, saying that like, oh, we are better than guys, even though the entire concept is they're just equal.
So many girls are like that.
You know what I mean?
They'll be asked questions
Yeah.
like either by friends or on the street. Like I've seen so many of these online where it's like they ask the girl about feminism and they're like, do you think men are better than women? And they're like, no. Do you think women are better than men? Yeah. And they just start like putting themselves higher.
It's too much, yeah, sometimes. And I get that like sometimes like for girls, because they've been looked down or like seen as less capable, that they have to do like the extra mile, but that doesn't mean that you should treat like guys in such a low place, you know?
I think a lot of times now it's very much like a me versus you type of thing instead of us versus.
It's not,
It is totally okay that you don't want children. It is totally okay that you do not want to depend on a man. It is totally okay that you do not want a family. But what you don't get to do is attack the nuclear family. What you don't get to do is demonize masculinity because you don't know how to be in a copacetic balance and harmony with it. See, all of us that want a family, we understand that societies thrive when there's two healthy parents that can create a healthy masculine and feminine balance in the home. If you are a true feminist, you would be teaching and influencing women to honor their femininity so that they don't feel like masculinity is an attack.
A phrase on social media that absolutely drives me crazy: if he wanted to, he would. Oh, I don't disagree with it, but it is overused. What about if she wanted to, she would? Culturally, it's like men are not allowed to have any kind of feeling. They're not allowed to have a say. They get used by their money. Like, I really feel bad for men these days. I absolutely despise extreme feminism. Like I said, I don't disagree with it. My ex-husband, better bet that applied to him. But not because he didn't bring me flowers or lay rose petals out to the toilet for my first pee or bow down and worship me when I'm being psycho. It was other reasons, more serious reasons why we're not married. Quit overusing it.
I feel like a conversation a lot of people don't want to have and aren't ready to have yet is how misunderstood and misrepresented feminism is. Like, one, there's this whole trend on social media of my man better pay for this for me and pay for that for me and he better do this and that for me because it's girl power, princess treatment, feminism, whatever. It's not feminism, and it's actually not women empowerment. It's misogyny repackaged into a pink sparkly bow because you are perpetuating the idea that a woman must be dependent on a man for resources, for means of living. That being said, you are allowed to have preferences in a relationship. You're allowed to prefer a man who will pay for you, or you're allowed to prefer a man who's rich, but don't put it under this disguise of feminism and girl power because it's not. If you were a feminist, you would not believe that it's a man's role to provide for you. You would believe that you are supposed to provide for yourself and you can be independent as a woman. But again, don't get me wrong, I like when someone treats me out for dinner. I like when someone pays for me, but I won't expect it. I won't say that it's their obligation, it's their role. A lot of people are going to call me a pick-me or hate on me for saying this, but I go into all my dates expecting to pay for half the bill. Whether or not they decide to pay for the full thing is up to them, but I will not hold it against them if they want to split the bill. Another thing is feminism and how it's misrepresented through publications and social media. We'll get a very accomplished and empowered woman, will paint her face in makeup, put her in a flashy outfit, retouch her face, cinch her waist in on Photoshop, make her tits bigger, call her a girl boss, and the day is done. That's feminism for the day. The same thing that happened 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 60 years ago, etc. Except this time we're calling her a girl boss, and so it's feminism. No, we're again just supporting misogynistic systems under the idea of, oh, feminism. Here's an example. This is Michael Phelps. He's a legend in the Olympics. We all know who Michael Phelps is. And of course, his magazine covers are showing his merit, are showing his accomplishments. And we go to Simone Biles, and yes, we do have some of her in gymnastics, but then the first two that pop up are her in a dress, her in makeup. It supports this idea that a woman needs to be beautiful, needs to be all done up just to be taken seriously. But of course, she is allowed to feel beautiful. She's allowed to look beautiful. I'm not saying she isn't. But the fact that these are the first few images that come up when you search Simone Biles magazine cover compared to Michael Phelps magazine cover says a lot. Why can't we just celebrate her based off her merit without having to highlight her beauty and her femininity? She is an insane athlete and she needs to be recognized as such. It's all these ideas of my man better pay for me and also different things like that, like the magazine cover, that's causing people to have pushback on feminism because they think it's useless. And it's not. I think feminism is still very much needed in today's society. It's just so misunderstood and so misrepresented that people are starting to resent it because it's seen as abusing the power of oppression. People are seeing feminism as, oh yeah, we were oppressed back in the 1950s, so now you have to give me everything I want. That's not what feminism is. Okay, thank you, bye.
Feminism is not the issue, but what it's turned into is. The original fight was for equality, votes, jobs, and just mutual respect. But somewhere along the way, equality morphed into superiority. Now, women are told, you don't need a man. Depending on him, it makes you weak. Be soft and nurturing, that's betrayal. Femininity was never weakness. But when women started trying to outman men, the polarity disappeared. No push, no pull, no leadership, no trust, just two people fighting for control, wondering why the attraction is dead. Men aren't disgusted by women. They're disgusted by the distortion, the constant anger, the victimhood, the competition. Masculine energy in women is repulsive to high-value masculine men. It just doesn't work. Real men don't want to battle their woman. They want to build with her. They want the woman who can lead her own ambitions and still soften in his arms at night because strength and softness can still coexist. It should be able to. Masculine energy brings structure, protection, and direction. Feminine energy brings warmth, intuition, and life. You remove one, you get chaos. You fake one, and you get resentment. Feminism wasn't freedom. It was a tax scam. Shove women into offices, twice the work, twice the cash for Uncle Sam, pump up her paycheck, sell her cars, daycare, happy pills, then throw the kids in a brainwash center, aka schools, while mom and dad grind 60-hour weeks, too wiped to see the family's actually been robbed. The goal was never to dominate each other. It was to balance each other out, to make each other better. When masculine and feminine move in harmony, your love thrives and legacies last lifetimes.
1 hour of women realizing feminism is a scam.